The judgment and the exodus, the silence in the grand assembly hall was the kind that pressed on the chest, making every breath heavy. Captain Saracen could feel 1,000 alien eyes upon her, their gazes heavy with judgment, suspicion, and something else, something like fear. She stood alone on a platform of polished obsidian, a single human in a hall filled with every species that mattered, every ruler and scientist and historian in the known galaxy. This was the place where empires rose and fell with a single vote. Now, it was where humanity's fate would be sealed. The opening words boomed from the crystalline High Chancellor FK, his body refracting the chamber lights in 1,000 cold rainbows. Captain Chun of Earth, you stand accused on behalf of your entire species. The charges rattled through the hall like thunder. Aggression, reckless expansion, destabilization of galactic peace, contempt for council protocols, possession of technologies deemed too dangerous. Sarah kept her hands steady at her sides, refusing to show fear. With respect, Chancellor, we have contributed knowledge, art, and protection to your council. For nearly a century, we have honored every treaty. You have initiated 12 armed conflicts in 20 years. Interrupted Counselor Elnor, her serpentine coils shifting on a platform suspended in midair. You colonize without permission. Your military grows unchecked. You have brought chaos. Sarah's jaw tightened. We defend ourselves when attacked. We expand because our population grows. These are acts of survival, not malice. A mechanical voice cut through the debate delegate X3 from the Nexus Collective. Your survival is built on conquest. Your adaptability is dangerous. You are a threat to galactic harmony. Sarah's eyes scanned the crowd. She saw allies from minor worlds, species who had benefited from human medicine, whose planets had been saved by human fleets. But their voices were small, and most stayed silent. The judgment was swift and brutal. The time has come for a vote, Afkai intoned. Green for acceptance, red for exile. Colored lights flickered into existence above each delegate. For a heartbeat, there was hope green lights here and there. Then the red lights erupted, dozens, then hundreds, outnumbering green 100 to 1. Fai's voice was final. By the authority of this council, the species known as humanity is hereby expelled. You have 60 standard days to remove all human presence from council-controlled space. All trade, technology, and diplomatic rights are revoked. The hall erupted into noise triumph for most, grief and anger for a handful. Sarah Chen did not retreat. She stepped forward, voice unamplified but ringing through the hall. You think this will end us? You think we will crawl back to Earth and fade away? You're wrong. Humanity survived ice ages, plagues, war, and ruin. We don't surrender. We don't fade. In exiling us, you forged something you can't control. The galaxy will remember this day not as our end, but as our beginning. The speech lingered in the chamber long after she'd been escorted out. The exodus began at once. Dr. Marcus Reed, chief scientist aboard the Lagrange station above Kepler 442b, scrambled to copy quantum resonance data and biological samples. Before council enforcers arrived, if we're being thrown out, he muttered to his team, we're taking every discovery with us. Across the colonies, Admiral Rosa Torres took command of the evacuation. Hundreds of ships, millions of civilians, scientists, military officers, and families. Some wept, some raged. Some simply worked out by the end of the 60 days. The greatest human fleet in history assembled at the edge of council space, looking out into the cold, dark unknown that the galaxy had marked as forbidden, the void. Set course, Admiral Torres ordered. We go where no one else dares. Into the void, the human refugee fleet crossed into the void, with fear and hope tangled in every heartbeat. Admiral Torres stood on the bridge of the UES Constitution, watching her screens fill with warnings, gravity wells, magnetic storms, and swaths of hyperspace that twisted navigation into knots. This was the place where the Council said no ship could survive, but humanity was used to making homes in places others called impossible. Captain Maria Santos, in command of the exploration ship Pioneer, took point, mapping routes through chaos, sending back data as her hull rattled from gravitational. Sheer, don't steer away from the storm, she told her navigator. Learn its shape. The only way out is through. Dr. Marcus Reed's scientists scanned energy anomalies no council probe had ever braved. Where the aliens saw only hazard, the humans saw opportunity. Reed's team built new sensors to harness power from the storms, using the fluctuations to drive their reactors at the edge of a shifting nebula hidden by swirling clouds that bent light and jammed sensors. The scouts discovered something remarkable. Habitable planets, shielded from the galaxy's gaze, orbiting a blue-white sun. Ancient satellites blinked welcome in codes no one in the council would recognize. First contact came not with violence, but with song. The wanderers, tall, blue-skinned, eyes like polished obsidian, approached in peace. Their leader, called Song of Distant Stars, met Sarah Chen on the crystalline plains of a new world. We watched your arrival, he said, voice translated by gentle music. We too were cast out. The council fears those who ask too many questions. Sarah felt the weight of exilees a little. You survived. You built a new life. Song of Distant Stars nodded. Not alone. Many exiled races gather here. All have something to offer. With wanderer guidance, humanity was welcomed. They discovered other exiled species, the resonance crystalline minds who could commune with computers, the shapers beings who molded matter, and the seekers mapmakers who charted the unknown. Admiral Torres surveyed the growing coalition. They wanted to scatter us. Instead, we're building something greater. On every ship and settlement, hope blossomed again. Seeds of a new empire, the new world named New Geneva, rose out of ocean and rock. A city of glass, steel, and bioengineered. Crystal, floating on volcanic lakes, shaped by human hands but alive with the contributions of allies. Children born in exile learned to speak half a dozen languages before their 10th birthday. Ideas flowed from laboratories and council chambers, energy drawn from gravity. Matter rearranged by shaper nanites, entire ships grown instead of built-out doctor. Reed's team worked alongside resonant researchers, blending technology in ways the council had never imagined. They built ships that bent space, cities that healed themselves, and weapons that could turn void storms into shields. Admiral Torres assembled the first. Coalition defense fleet, vessels powered by void reactors. Cloaked by wanderer harmonics, hulls reinforced with crystalline matrices. No longer bound by the council's rules, their ships were stronger, faster, and stranger than any that had come before. Sarah Chen, elected president by the exiles and their allies, called for an alliance open to all. We will not hide. We will not bow. The council calls us chaos. Let us show them the power of creation. News spread through the old galaxy. A new society was rising. Council spies brought back rumors of marvels, disease cured, machines made sentient, energy storms. Tamed. The council watched, uneasy. Their problem had not gone away. It was becoming an opportunity for every oppressed species in the galaxy. The human coalition rises. The coalition's population soared as refugees from across council space made the dangerous journey to the frontier. Shapers built homes for millions in days. Resonance wove networks between planets that made council comms obsolete. The Seekers charted new trade routes, and the Wanderers helped unlock the mysteries of the void. Admiral Torres and Captain Jake Miller led daring raids into council territory, liberating labor camps and rescuing beings sentenced to die from their differences. Every mission brought new allies, new skills, and new reasons for the council to fear what they had unleashed. President Chun recorded a message broadcast on every council channel. You tried to destroy us, but you made us stronger. The frontier is open to all who wish for freedom and discovery. Council leaders began to argue among themselves. Some demanded new wars, others pleaded for negotiation. Trade routes shifted. Rebellion sparked on the edges of their space dot in New Geneva. The coalition built a grand station where hundreds of species lived, worked, and dreamed together. Sarah Chen looked out at the growing city and felt pride, not just for humanity, but for every being who had chosen hope over fear. The reckoning returned to the stars. 5 years after exile, the human coalition was no longer a ragtag fleet. It was a civilization, sprawling across dozens of systems, united by diversity and driven by discovery. Ships from 100 species filled the skies above New Geneva. The station was alive with color, languages, and inventions that would have been forbidden under council law. President Chun and Song of Distant Stars welcomed the council's emissaries, finally forced to acknowledge what humanity had built. They arrived expecting chaos and found harmony, expecting decay and found growth. Sarah's speech to the assembly echoed across the galaxy. You exiled us because you feared our strength. In the darkness, we found each other. You wanted us broken, but we are more whole than ever. The council, now fractured and weakened, was left with a choice: adapt or become irrelevant. Some pleaded for alliance. Others still plotted revenge, but the balance of power had shifted. The story closed with a new fleet human, wanderer, resonant, shaper, and seeker ships departing into the unexplored reaches of the galaxy. The message was clear. When you cast out humanity, you created something you can never control. And we are only just beginning, asterisk.